ever replace my husband. No. But I do see some similarities of my husband in JD and Vice President JD Vance. I do. And that's why I'm so blessed to be able to introduce him tonight, because he understands the fight that we're up against.
Joe Rogan just called out Erika Kirk, and what he uncovered has millions of people believing she's been quietly planning her rise to become the next First Lady the entire time. And now, whispers are spreading that the Vice President's wife could be in real danger because the clues are right there in plain sight. I know it sounds unbelievable, but stay with me. At a recent Turning Point USA event, Erika stood on stage and said something that made the entire internet stop scrolling. She declared that no one will ever replace her husband, Charlie, but then, in the very same breath, she compared Vice President J.D. Vance to him. That moment flipped everything. When JD walked out on stage, what happened next has body language experts, Joe Rogan, and millions of viewers convinced this wasn't just an innocent interaction, it looked planned. In this video, we're going to break down the shocking moment that hug happened and why it was nothing like any other embrace Erika has ever given in public. You'll hear exactly what Joe Rogan said about the entire situation and why he believes there's something much deeper going on behind the scenes. We'll also look at a single photo of Usha Vance that tells a story words can't explain. By the end of this, you'll understand why so many people are saying J.D. Vance might be preparing to run for president in 2028, and that Erika Kirk could already be positioning herself as the woman standing beside him. I'm not exaggerating. The signs are everywhere, and it's all unfolding right now. Before we dive into the wildest details, I'm not going to rehash what happened to Charlie Kirk. Most of you already know that part of the story. All right, let's jump into the clip that started this conversation, because things took a surprising turn that caught everyone off guard.
I've gotten several requests to decode this video with Erika Kirk and JD Vance. Let's look at JD Vance's side of the hug first. He gives a tight hug with a pat on the back. So some people often pat people on the back. That's just kind of how they manage a longer hug. And for some people, that patting on the back is what they do to comfort someone else. He also rests his hands after the hug for a second on her waist area, which can be a sign of affection.
Charlie Kirk was one of the most recognized names in conservative media. He built Turning Point USA from the ground up and became a voice for an entire generation. He was only 31 years old, and when his life was suddenly cut short, it left his wife Erika Kirk and their young family facing unimaginable loss. At first, people expected Erika to step back to take time away from the public eye, but instead she did the opposite. Within weeks, she was back on stage, giving speeches at major events, stepping into leadership at Turning Point USA, hosting her husband's podcast, doing interviews, and appearing at large gatherings overnight. She became the face of the movement that Charlie had built. To some, it looked like courage, strength in the face of tragedy. To others, it felt a little unusual, like there was something deeper motivating her comeback, but no one could pinpoint it until that now famous Oxford event featuring Vice President J.D. Vance. Let's take a step back for context. J.D. Vance, currently serving as vice president, has been married for years to Usha Vance, a respected professional and mother of their children. Recently, online discussions began circulating about how JD's public comments on faith and family had shifted in tone. Some social media users claimed his remarks sounded more personal than usual, while others dismissed it as standard political language. Then came the moment that connected all three names: Erika Kirk, JD Vance, and Joe Rogan. Joe, known for asking the questions most people avoid, brought up the topic on his podcast. He mentioned how the situation surrounding Erika's quick return to the spotlight
and/or romantic interest. It's the move to slide her hands up and grasp and cradle his head that is getting so much attention. This is a move that we women do when we are in a deep kiss, which is why it looks so very intimate. Erika then ends her hug by grasping his shoulders, which is a sign of affection and closeness. That said, grief can do really wonky things to humans, but this is wonky for sure. I'm Annie Sarnblad, and I teach microexpressions and all things.
And that one unusual onstage moment with JD Vance had people online asking questions. His tone wasn't accusatory, it was curious. As he put it, something about this just feels different. So what was that moment everyone keeps replaying? It happened at a Turning Point event in Oxford where Erika took the stage to introduce the vice president. The atmosphere was charged, cameras flashing, the crowd buzzing. Everyone expected a standard political introduction, but what came out next caught everyone by surprise. She began with heartfelt words: "No one will ever replace my husband." The audience responded with sympathy. It was emotional and genuine. But then, she added something that instantly sparked discussion online. She said that JD Vance reminded her of Charlie, a comparison that many thought was unusual, especially given how recent her loss was. It wasn't said in a negative or inappropriate way, but it was the tone and timing that made people pause. Viewers described it as unexpected, more polished than emotional, more prepared than spontaneous. From that point on, social media lit up with interpretations, body language analyses, and theories about what Erika might have meant. No one can say for sure what her true intentions were. But that single sentence changed the entire conversation, shifting the narrative from sympathy to speculation about what could be happening behind the scenes. The moment that clip hit the internet, the comment sections went wild. Viewers were asking, why did she say that? What kind of similarities was she referring to?
Did y'all just see that? Y'all, let me show you this again. Watch his hand.
And why did she look so calm and confident while saying it? Some fans felt she was simply expressing admiration for both men's leadership and values. Others, however, wondered if this was the first public sign that Erika Kirk was stepping into a new role, one that placed her closely beside Vice President JD Vance in a way that seemed deliberate. At first, I honestly thought people online were overanalyzing the clip, but then I saw what happened right after that introduction, and it changed everything about how people were interpreting the moment. After Erika made that comparison, JD Vance walked on stage. The music was loud, the audience was cheering, and cameras were everywhere. When the two met at center stage, everyone expected a brief professional greeting, maybe a polite side hug or a handshake. What followed looked a lot warmer than anyone anticipated. They shared a long embrace that instantly became the focus of every discussion thread and reaction video. Viewers began replaying the footage in slow motion, pointing out the closeness and the way the interaction lingered longer than typical political greetings. Within hours, body language analysts online began breaking it down frame by frame. One popular commentator explained that the interaction felt unusually personal for a professional event, especially given that Erika had recently experienced such a major loss and JD Vance is a married public figure. The analyst stressed that context matters. When you're on stage, every movement can be misread, and even an innocent moment can appear different under the spotlight. Still, that clip spread fast. Some viewers thought it showed empathy, a powerful gesture of comfort and solidarity. Others felt it crossed into territory that looked too familiar.
Confronted Usha Vance. I held her hand and I told her, honestly, I do not know how I'm going to get through this. She told me something. She said, you know when you're on an airplane with your kids and it's the last 15 minutes of the flight, things are crazy. Kids are not cooperating, toys are flying everywhere and everyone's screaming. And you think to yourself, cannot wait for this flight to land. And it's 15 minutes before you land. She told me, you will get through these 15 minutes and the next 15 minutes after. Usha, I don't think you realized it that those words were exactly what I needed to hear.
Adding to the conversation, screenshots from the same event began circulating, particularly one photo of Usha Vance, JD's wife, embracing Erika afterward. On the surface, it looked like two women sharing compassion, both showing strength in a difficult situation. But social media users began analyzing that image too. Some said Usha's expression revealed pain or concern. Others argued it showed simple humanity, a woman offering comfort to another woman in a public, emotionally charged moment. Whatever the interpretation, that photo became symbolic. People saw what they wanted to see. Some described it as a picture of empathy, others as quiet tension. But no matter the angle, it captured a genuine emotional exchange that viewers couldn't stop discussing. Then, TikTok detectives entered the chat. They began revisiting past clips of Erika at different events, greeting various people. In nearly all of those videos, she kept a respectful amount of space. Brief hugs, quick pats on the back, polite smiles. Commenters highlighted how different the Oxford hug looked in comparison. And that contrast is what truly fueled the speculation. Online commentators began suggesting that this particular interaction might have carried a personal familiarity, while others pushed back, reminding everyone that a few seconds of footage can't tell the full story of anyone's intentions. The internet, as always, split down the middle. Some saw nothing but compassion. Others thought it revealed something deeper. But one thing everyone agreed on, that moment on stage between Erika Kirk and JD Vance became one of the most talked about clips of the year. And as people kept watching, the theories only grew louder. What came next took the story in an even more unexpected direction. When people started putting all of these clips side by side, the internet couldn't stop comparing the tone, the body language, and the timing.
Said that he took it apart and then put it back together again. Shut the f up. Do you know how much time it would take to do that if you were highly skilled?
To disassemble a gun.
To disassemble a rifle so that you can get it in a backpack. And by the way, not gonna fit. Not gonna fit.
In a backpack.
And then somehow or another reconnects it once he gets off the roof. What? This story is horseshit. Like none of these things make any sense to me.
The more viewers analyzed, the more questions started flooding in, and that's where things got complicated. After Charlie Kirk's passing, reports and interviews confirmed that Usha Vance was one of the few people who personally stayed by Erika Kirk's side during those difficult days. Usha didn't just send flowers or a message. She traveled with Erika, even flying with her on Air Force 2, offering genuine comfort and friendship at a moment when Erika's entire world had changed. Erika has even spoken publicly about how much Usha's kindness meant to her. She described her as wise, compassionate, and supportive. But then came a detail that caught many listeners off guard. Erika used the word confronted when talking about one of their conversations. That choice of word immediately sparked speculation online. People wondered what she meant. Why describe an exchange with someone who supported you as a confrontation? Did she mean it in the sense of an honest heart-to-heart? Or was there tension we don't know about? No one outside that circle truly knows. Some psychologists online mentioned a concept called a trauma bond, which can form when two people share a deeply emotional or painful experience. It can create a lasting connection, not romantic, but intensely personal. Maybe that's what happened between Erika and Usha. Maybe they simply became close through shared grief and mutual understanding. Still, even that doesn't explain why Erika later compared JD Vance to her late husband on stage, or why JD's recent public comments about family and faith have been interpreted so differently by the public. The internet, of course, took these scattered moments and started building bigger narratives around them. And this is where things turned into pure online speculation.
According to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear. I don't necessarily think they know what's going on yet. There's a lot of weird shit going on with this.
I know.
A viral TikTok comment jokingly suggested that JD might one day leave his wife, marry Erika, and claim it was destiny. What Charlie would have wanted. It spread like wildfire, gathering millions of views. What began as a meme quickly evolved into an internet theory, with timelines, screenshots, and commentary videos trying to connect every dot. To be clear, there is no verified evidence of that scenario. But because of how social media works, once a story fits a dramatic narrative, people share it faster than fact checks can catch up. At the same time, clips began resurfacing of Lara Trump talking about JD Vance's growing political profile, saying he could play a major leadership role in the future, possibly a presidential run in 2028. That public prediction gave the online theory new energy. People started speculating that if JD were preparing for a campaign, he would need a picture-perfect public image, strong faith, family values, and stability. And that's where the comparisons to Erika re-emerged. In the eyes of some social media users, she already represented that image: resilient, faith-based, and connected to a respected conservative legacy. But again, those are just fan interpretations and online opinions, not confirmed plans or facts. For now, all we actually know is this: JD Vance remains focused on his duties as vice president, Usha Vance continues her professional and family life, and Erika Kirk remains active in the organization her husband founded. The rest, and the viral theories, the future predictions, the what-ifs, all belong to the endless world of online speculation. And yet that speculation keeps growing, because once the internet starts connecting emotional stories, power, and politics, it rarely stops there. What happens next in this tangled narrative is what we'll break down in the next part. And then comes the prediction circulating online that JD Vance could run for president in 2028, with Erika Kirk positioned as the ideal First Lady candidate. At first, it sounds like something straight out of a political drama, but when you look at what's been happening publicly, it's easy to see why some people think the theory gained traction. Let's be clear before anything else. These are speculations shared by online commentators, not confirmed facts or verified plans. Still, people started connecting the dots after JD's recent public comments about his wife, Usha Vance, and her background. At a recent speech before a large audience, JD talked about his wife's upbringing. He said something along the lines of, "My wife didn't grow up in a particularly religious family. She came from a Hindu background, but not a very practicing one." Some listeners immediately took issue with that statement. Why? Because in past interviews, Usha herself has shared that her parents' Hindu faith influenced her upbringing deeply and shaped the values she still carries today. So when JD framed it differently, it created confusion, and people online began wondering why he would choose to describe it that way. Later in the same talk, JD expressed his personal wish that one day his wife might share his Christian faith, saying that he hopes she'll see things through the same spiritual lens he does. For many, this sounded like a heartfelt statement of faith, but others found it uncomfortable, feeling that discussing a spouse's personal beliefs in such a public setting might come across as pressure or disapproval. Critics online interpreted it as diminishing Usha's heritage, while supporters argued that JD was simply being honest about his own faith journey and hopes for unity in their family. Either way, the moment fueled more conversation and added fuel to the ongoing theories that something deeper might be unfolding behind the scenes. For context, when JD and Usha married, they had a beautiful interfaith ceremony. Reports from guests confirmed that both of their traditions were represented, including a Hindu priest's blessing, which Usha said was meaningful and symbolic for her family. It showed mutual respect for both faiths. That's why JD's recent remarks drew even more attention. People began asking if his tone toward religion had changed, and if so, why now? Some online commentators went as far as to suggest that this could be the beginning of a narrative shift, one that emphasizes JD's alignment with traditional Christian voters ahead of a possible future campaign. Again, there's no verified evidence that this is his intention, but timing always drives speculation in the social media world. A few content creators also mentioned something called the Pauline privilege, a rule within certain branches of Christian canon law that allows a baptized believer to seek dissolution of a marriage if the other spouse isn't baptized. However, it's important to note that this is an extremely niche and rarely applied concept, mostly discussed by theologians, not politicians. Still, the idea spread online because it fit into the narrative some people were already building. That JD could someday justify a separation based on faith differences if he ever wanted to remarry again. This is pure speculation, not something JD has ever said or confirmed. The truth is, we don't know what's happening inside anyone's marriage, and it's not our place to judge personal faith or family choices. What we can see is how public statements, even small ones, can take on lives of their own once social media starts interpreting them. And that's exactly what happened here. What might have been a simple reflection on faith and family quickly became another piece of a much larger online story, one tying together grief, politics, and personal life in ways that none of the people involved have publicly acknowledged. Now, whether any of this truly means what the internet thinks it does, that's the question we'll dig into next. So here's where the online theory reaches its most dramatic point, and where we have to separate fact from speculation. Some creators online have claimed that because Usha Vance isn't Christian, JD Vance could theoretically use a religious rule to dissolve their marriage and later have a church wedding with someone else, possibly Erika Kirk. Now, let's be absolutely clear. There's no verified evidence that this is true or that such a plan exists. This idea only comes from online conversations, fan interpretations, and speculation across social media platforms. Still, the timing of recent events has fueled curiosity. People are noticing patterns, and that's what's driving this viral conversation. Even Joe Rogan, who rarely comments on political or personal stories, briefly mentioned the situation during his podcast. Rogan didn't give a full explanation or name anyone directly. He simply said that something about the story felt off, that one sentence was enough to send social media into a frenzy. Because when Joe Rogan says something doesn't add up, millions of people start digging, his audience is massive, and his influence means that a single vague comment can spark a wave of independent research, reaction videos, and online debates. But to keep this responsible, Rogan didn't accuse anyone of wrongdoing. He just voiced what many others were already thinking, that the situation surrounding Charlie Kirk's passing, Erika's quick public return, and the strange moments caught on camera left people with more questions than answers. However, where online discussions often cross the line is when people begin speculating about the tragedy itself. Rumors have circulated about how Charlie's passing happened, about the investigation, and about who might have benefited from the outcome. But none of those claims have been proven, and spreading them without evidence can be deeply unfair to everyone involved. What is true is that Erika's public role expanded dramatically after her husband's passing. She became the CEO and face of Turning Point USA, a national figure standing next to some of the most powerful voices in politics. That kind of rise naturally draws attention and scrutiny. So when people look at her growing influence, the friendship with JD and Usha Vance, and all the small coincidences that seem to line up, it's no surprise that theories form whether it's coincidence, timing, or something more complex. So that's for viewers to decide after seeing all the facts. In the end, what we really have here is a mix of truth, perception, and public curiosity. The internet fills in the gaps when answers aren't clear, and sometimes that creates stories that feel bigger than reality itself. So what do you think? Is this just coincidence and speculation, or is there something more beneath the surface that people haven't noticed yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button if you found this breakdown interesting, and don't forget to subscribe and share this video so more people can join the discussion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.